Thank you so much, everybody. We're very excited to be here. We are members of this year's Equity Arc National Pathways Festival Orchestra, and we're just so excited to have this panel here tonight. We're going to be looking at our own lived experiences and pathways programs in order to connect it into broader evolutions in the industry. And so we're going to just be looking at specific parts of our lives and then also thinking about the future. And so just to get straight into it, we're going to go into some introductions. My name is Caleb Graupera. I use he, him, and I'm a senior from the Boston area, and I'm very excited to be here playing the cello from Project STEP and Boston Beam. And so if everyone else can just share your name, your grade level, your pronouns, your pathways program, and your instrument.
I'm Gabriel Silva. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a junior from the Atlanta area, and I'm with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra's Talent Development Program, playing trombone.
I'm Keith. I use he, him pronouns. I play the tuba. I'm in 11th grade, and I'm with the Marian Anderson program.
My name is Liliana Ortiz. I'm a part of PMA. I'm a junior from New Jersey, and I play oboe.
Hi everyone, my name is Arushi Kumar. I'm 17. I'm from Nashville. I'm the Nashville Symphony's Cello Rondo program. I play flute, and I'm a senior.
Hi, my name is Mara McMillian. I'm with Boston Beam and Vice's Intensive Community Program. I play the bass, and I'm a freshman.
Hi, my name is Trinity Gabrielski. I'm from the Youth Orchestras of San Antonio's Rising Star Fellows. I'm a senior. I play flute, and I'm from San Antonio.
Hello, my name is Rishabh G. I'm a junior. I use he, him pronouns. I'm from the Washington Musical Pathways Initiative, and I'm a percussionist.
I'm Guy. I play the cello. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm with Project STEP.
Awesome. Let's get straight into it. All right, Keith, we're going to start with you. And so we're not done with this weekend yet. We still have a ways to go. But so far, what would you say is your favorite part of the annual convening this year?
I think my favorite part, I have a lot of favorite parts, so I'm going to say a lot of favorite parts. My first favorite part is probably the conductor. I like the energy he gives in rehearsals and how fast-paced he moves. And it doesn't really ever seem like there's a minute wasted in rehearsals. And I also like the repertoire. I think it's good. Let's see. Another favorite part, I really like the food. So if there's any like chefs in here, shout out to y'all, because that food is so good. Like I haven't had one thing here that I haven't liked, so good for me. And I like the city. I like all the party buses. Party buses are cool. I like the museum. What else do I like? I like the other people around me. Everyone's nice.
Thank you.
All right. Those are all my favorite parts.
Anyone else wants to add? I mean, one of my favorite things would have to be Maestro's stories during rehearsal.
The hotel's also really nice.
I love the hotel.
I really like the conductor also because during rehearsal we work a lot with musicality and not just learning notes. Everybody has come pretty prepared and like a lot of people already know their parts, which makes it a lot more easier to focus on things like dynamics and articulation, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable to be in a rehearsal where people know what they're doing.
Like Keith said, the musicians that I'm playing with are so phenomenal. Like everyone here is so talented, and it's so nice to have people that are so ethnically diverse and playing in the same orchestra, because that's so different from what you see in the professional world.
Just to add on to that, it's so awesome to get to see all these friends that I've missed from summer, get to see them again, that I missed from last year, get to see them again, and I just know I'm going to see them for the rest of my life. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, I'll say, back to the conductor again. I love that, he treats us like professionals here, despite being here for like only 2-3 days. And he barely even knows us, but he just treats us like, he's been around us, like the Nashville Symphony, for so long. And every once in a while, it's good to have someone that's kind of aggressive towards you, because as weird as that sounds, sometimes we have music directors that are like really easygoing, and we don't like get to live up to our full potential because they don't always call us out or correct things like the minute something goes wrong.
Just to add on to that, I really enjoy Maestro's energy. All the students know his voice fills the hall when we're rehearsing, and the faces he makes and just the energy he brings to and the enthusiasm he brings to rehearsal really makes us want to be there and want to play to the best of our abilities.
I thought it was really cool to like also see him in concert and like professionally. Like we went to the concert last night, and so it was really cool to like have rehearsal with him yesterday afternoon, and then go see him in his like element, and then have rehearsal with him today. So it was like I know you, and it was really cool to like be on the like both different ends of that whole experience. And so I'm excited to like be in concert with him now.
I just wanted to say, during the second movement of Beethoven, the last piece, I cried because it was so good, and I felt so inspired after that concert.
We are very grateful to Maestro for giving us his valuable time, even being there from the very first rehearsal. I think that just goes to show how much he cares. So we're very grateful. And to segue into the next question, so Mari, we're just going to talk with you about why you think the work of Pathways programs is important, and why should they continue?
Yeah, so I think that Pathways programs, I mean, we just had like a whole list of like all our favorite parts, and all of these things wouldn't have been possible without Pathways programs. And definitely, kind of what she was saying, seeing everyone here that's young and is passionate about music is, and also like looking like me is like really inspiring and kind of super important for just the whole classical music experience. And I feel like a whole part of that, we're here to make an art, and just like a huge component of being able to do that and pursue your artistry is feeling like you belong with the other people that you're working with. And so I think Pathways programs are really crucial to that. And I love how Pathways programs, at least when I'm a part of, definitely start really young, specifically with ICP, and definitely you have a lot of alumni and mentors, so you're seeing people, again, that look like you who are just as passionate, and still instilling that like love for music. And I know, I'd like to think that all of us would find our way to music, even if we hadn't been part of Pathways programs, but to have those in like all different kinds, like we're meeting all these different people from all over the country, and it's like you're from Nashville, but then I'm from Boston, and then there's people like here from everywhere, and just it's really cool to think about how there's like everyone has their own ISO, everyone has their own beam in their own area, and we're just inspiring, and we're being inspired by so many people, and then hopefully soon we'll be able to be the other end and like return the gift back to the community.
I just want to add that like the Pathway program kind of gives us a sense of community, and it really like lets us branch out and make so many friends through these programs. It's kind of a little hard for me to talk to new people, but even through this like festival alone, I've made so many friends that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet without them.
I feel like also through this program we can learn from each other. I'm in a cello rondo, and a cello rondo is fairly new if you're comparing it to other Pathways programs, and it's nice because when we're all together and we're collaborating in such a wonderful way, we can learn from each other. We can make each of our programs better, and hopefully inspire other places and have even more Pathways programs. And yeah, I think this festival is just so amazing because it's highlighting the best of what Pathways programs strive for.
Yeah, additionally, I think these programs like Project Step, they just make a lot of amazing opportunities more accessible financially. Like music camps and orchestras, it just removes a barrier that you don't have to think about anymore. And I think that's really helpful.
And like with all these benefits that we're listing with Pathways programs, I feel like if that's not a reason that they should continue, it's just like all of us here kind of just, I don't know, like we just played Chauncey 5, and then we were just like talking about like random things in the hallway. So I feel like it's so cool that we're all normal, just kids, but then we can just do this really cool thing with all these incredible people, and like Pathways programs is what makes that possible. So we get to have, yeah, just really cool experiences. I'm really appreciative of that.
Yeah, to finish on that thought, For all of us here who are alums of Sphinx Performance Academy, might be a few in the orchestra. So something in Sphinx that, the term that they have at Sphinx is, they call it La Familia. I think that's a really important reminder of what these Pathways programs are at the end of the day. It's a family. It's a way of just having people who are like you, come from similar cultures, and care about music just as much as you do. And how important it is to have them around you, and to be nurturing you, and to be their mentor, and to be mentored by them. It's just so important in the life of an artist. And so I think that was great, Margaret. Thank you. And so next up, with Liliana, we're going to just talk a little bit about specifically some resources that Pathways programs offer and which have been most impactful to your study.
Specifically in PMA, I don't know about the other Pathways programs, but we get to do master classes a lot with professionals in our instruments. So I've gotten to work with 2 amazing oboists, and it was an amazing opportunity because I would have never been able to do that beforehand. And it not only allows me to meet them, but it allows me to play and have more opportunities to play, because there is a lot of performance anxiety that comes with being a young musician breaking out of that shell. And having more opportunities to play really helps counteract that. And it also helps you branch out and meet more of the students in your program and the musicians that you'll later get to play with, hopefully. And not only that, but they allow you to go watch other instrument master classes and see how those instruments work and how the advice that they give to you, like a violinist might apply to an oboist, and phrasing and musicality and things that are just universal to every instrument. It's really amazing how these different resources just can impact everybody, because I might go to a violin master class, and even though violin might not be my main instrument, I can always just take something away from that, and I think that's been really helpful to me.
I wanted to add on to that. Before I had a Pathways program, I had a hard time getting out of my shell, and I always built a lot of performance anxiety. Being in a Pathways program, I was able to have chances to perform in front of a lot of people, and even right now I'm getting kind of like nervous, but like this, for example, I'm practicing like talking to people, and that's opportunities that I need for my future endeavors. And even college, I want this skill as I go on and become a more strong musician.
I love that you talked about master classes, because we also have master classes, and we have certain requirements for my Pathways program, and requirements may, like textbook definition, be like, oh, I'm gonna do requirements. But honestly, like the things that I'm exposed to because of my requirements made me so much of a better musician, because I'm doing these orchestras, I'm in these master classes, I'm taking lessons, I'm doing music theory, and I'm just being exposed to so much more because of the Pathways program I'm in, instead of just being on my own. So, yeah.
Yeah, the requirements might seem like kind of a drag at first, but you realize it's just to get you out there. Like, so you're doing more stuff, so you're experiencing more things, and kind of like forces you to get out of the shell and to meet new people and to have new playing experiences. So it's really helped with all of that.
I would say like the way my program has helped me, like in a big way, is giving me free lessons, because I never like really had lessons from a tuba player before I joined this program. And it's like my first teacher was a trombone player, and it was good because I was able to work on like musicianship and learning my instrument. But like when I'm taking lessons with the tuba player, I get more specific help with the tuba, which you can't really get from a trombone player. And yeah, and he's in the audience. But it's okay, we love him still.
Yeah, I'll say pretty much the same thing happened to me. Before I got to study with my current teacher at the TDP, Nathan Zigons. I'll say a lot of things were really hard to figure out on my own. And even like going back to the master classes, with the TDP's 30th anniversary happening right now this year, our amazing advisor right here, Mr. Ryan Walks, he was able to provide us with a ton of master classes, not only for our specific instruments, but we're invited to, whatever instrument we want to go to. So I got to attend the trumpet master class with actually the principal trumpet of the Nashville Symphony, Mr. William Leathers. And it helped me a lot because just the specifics of brass, coming from different perspectives, like the way I think about it could be different from the way that Keith thinks about it as a tuba player. So like being able to combine those experiences and all that knowledge, pretty much just, it can make anybody better.
Just adding on to that a little bit, it's also just like amazing professional musicians that we get to see and get to meet. I had never had specific timpani instruction before, and now I get to work with Scott Christian of the NSO, who really digs deep into how I can tailor my playing into being a classical musician and think about things that I hadn't even, ever thought I would be able to think about before. So it's just these Pathways programs offer so much to us, being able to see what these musicians do and really implement what they're telling us.
Yeah, and I think with all these opportunities considered, it's also interesting to think about results. And in one of my Pathways programs, Project STEP, which has been up for more than 40 years, they've actually had a rate of 100% of the students who have gone into Project STEP have gone on into some kind of higher education. 100%. Everybody. And I think that's just... I think that just goes to show how important these programs are. So, speaking about that, just thinking about how we can spread the scope and the reach of these programs, Gabriel's going to talk a bit about that, just thinking about how we can expand the reach of programs in the future.
Okay, so with TDP, there's always, pretty much in every state, there's an all-state conference that goes on around this time, spring. And the Atlanta Symphony makes sure to go around to those conferences and be able to advertise as much as they can regarding education. So they advertise the TDP and the Atlanta Symphony Youth Orchestra to any student at any of those conferences that can, that are interested in applying. And recently, being in the Atlanta Youth Symphony, I was able to kind of connect with my director, Dr. Scott Stewart, and kind of just do the same and advertise for all the people that are at my school, people from other programs that I know, and be able to spread how it says there, spread the scope, and just get as many people as I can to join these groups and get a different type of education than they would at their school or with private lessons, anything like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people at my school who are very similar to me, as in they don't have a lot of the opportunities that they would like to have because of economic issues. And these programs really help with that because kids who wouldn't have had the opportunities before now do have the opportunities, and they can go out and they can pursue music as a hobby because they like it. I have a tuba player back home. He wasn't able to take lessons, and he's not able to pursue music because the lessons down there are just so expensive, and it's really hard to find lesson instructors for your specific instruments. But with these programs, they give you a teacher, they give you the resources you need to improve yourself and strive for what you want to be. And I think that's really important to open the opportunities to more kids.
Going off of that, just wanted to say, I relate to that because, being low income, it hits so hard at home. When you're not able to pay the bills, do I risk buying music books? That's how hard it is sometimes. And so, the Pathways program, Rising Stars, has helped me a lot while, my family has gone through a ton. And, it's just that I want to do music so badly. And with that financial aid, given to me, it has helped me grow without, having to think about all the struggles. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people like relate to that, and it does hit hard. And so I feel like Pathways programs should they should really be more stronger as we go on into the future. I hope that every student who gets familiar with Pathways programs can just keep it on, because I feel like if we still have the struggles of like poverty come in and all that, and these kids who want to do music, I feel like there wouldn't be any problem if we give them like what we're given.
That was really vulnerable, Trinity. Thank you for sharing that. But I love that you talked about that, because music is so expensive, and to be good at it, you kind of need those resources. And I mean, like, it's insane how many talented students can't pursue their passion because they just don't have the money. And I think that's, quite frankly, like, that's just unacceptable. So I think the work of Pathways programs needs to expand so that all of these people can get the opportunity that they deserve.
I agree, and I mean, like, thinking about everyone that's there, like, there's never not going to be kids that don't want to play music. Like, it's just such a wide and, like, fruitful and just incredible art that, I mean, we know that there's always going to be kids and people out there that are doing music and that love music and that need music. Like, trying to say, like, I want to do it so badly, like, she needs it. And so I think having Pathways programs is just, like, a necessity. She was saying, it's unacceptable. So I feel like if there's kids that are out there and that can't do it and they really want to, I feel like there should be resources there. I feel it's sort of simple, honestly, in a way. I mean, I know it's not easier said than done, but there's always people that are out there that love it, and I know that we all love it, and we are so incredibly grateful to have all these resources. And so, yeah, I think if there's people out there should be things for that.
I think that I feel like more of these programs should exist in more places, because I think it takes a lot of the unnecessary stress out of learning how to play an instrument, learning how to get better at an instrument, like finances. I feel like if you're playing an instrument and doing something you love, finances shouldn't have to be your main biggest worry. And I think that Pathways programs help with that, or they do help with that. They take away a lot of the costs because they cover a lot of the costs from their magical fundraising.
We are very grateful for all of you coming and taking time out of your busy lives to be here today. And we just hope that if you can take anything out of this conversation, we're going to continue speaking, of course, but just that we all believe here that music is a fundamental human right. And that in order to keep these Pathways programs afloat, in order to, as Keith was saying, as all of us have been talking about, to keep music as something that isn't stressful, it's something that anyone who loves music can pursue it. We need money, we need funding, and we need all of your support. So thank you for coming out here this weekend, but it's going to be an ongoing battle to make sure that everyone can have music in their lives. So Rashad is going to continue in this kind of realm, thinking about how equity and accessibility, the kind of role it's played in your life in classical music, and why you think that equity is so important to classical music in particular.
Absolutely. So I think we can all agree that music is a language that we all speak, and it breaks so many barriers. You don't need to have, it's not like speaking Spanish versus speaking French. We can all listen to music and we all know, we all love it. But it stinks to see that so many individuals are barred from being a part of this music society. And so recently we had a master class with WMPI with the Imani Winds, where we have Monica Ellis with us here today, a founding member. And it was great to see how their mission is to commission composers of minorities and societies that are cultures that are often not recognized, and blend those into what they do and the classical music. And I think that's really pioneering the next era of classical music. I think what we're doing here and what the Pathways programs are doing is what is going to continue into our future. There's a lot of questions about the future of classical music, but if we can create a society like this, create something bigger than just what we've been talking about here, it's gonna really translate into the future. Another part of it, my personal story, I'm part of the Network for Diversity in Concert Percussion. And before being part of that group, I hadn't really thought of it, but I hadn't seen an Indian percussionist in the professional industry. And with the NDCP, I was able to see Dinesh Joseph, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen this before. And sometimes it feels good to be the only one, but it's also scary to be the only one. And so with that, I was able to see what the different things I can do in percussion, the opportunities I have. Dinesh Joseph is actually an entrepreneur. He runs Dragonfly Percussion, very successful company. And it's great to see just my culture reflected in other people in the industry. To not be the only one sometimes really helps.
I love that you talk about your heritage and not seeing that in the professional setting, because as a flutist, it's really interesting because, like, if you think about the earliest version of the flute, it's a basuri, which is like an Indian flute. So you would think logically that there would be a higher proportion of Indians playing flute, but I mean, you know. So I think it's interesting that you bring that up.
And I really resonate with the feeling that you get when you are playing with people who look like you, and it's just like another level of, oh, me too. Like, it's like, oh, you love Shostakovich, me too. Like, you're in Nashville, me too. But then, like, you look like me and you're just as passionate. It's such another, like, level of connection that you get to make and that you can only make with a certain people. And definitely, just like with my Pathways program, through BISO, like being in different orchestras and then working with like a smaller ensemble through ICP, which is directed for like growing underrepresented people in classical music, and just like the energy. I mean, I love playing with anybody, but just you can so tell that some people are just so much more tighter knit just because they can relate to each other and they can just share that kind of common experience, because it is, I mean, I don't know, like it is different to be like the only one in an orchestra than to be, you know, to be like surrounded. And though music is a universal language, it's always great to be like speaking and sharing that with people that you can really relate to. So I think definitely Pathways programs are important in that aspect as well.
Yeah, going off of that, like even just hearing the languages that you hear at home, like Maestro Guerrero, like even though the rehearsals are all in English, like when he cues us in, he goes like, let us eat, and like just hearing that in Spanish and then being able to like recognize that from at home, I think that's just like a really cool experience that, like, yeah.
And also being in such a diverse orchestra, it gives an extra feeling of safety and security. It's more like a warm blanket over you, because music is a very accepting space, and I found a lot of friends and people that I would like to see as my family now, but it's always difficult being in a room where you're the only person that looks like that, and you can tell that you might not feel the safest because people are looking at you differently, because you are different. You come from a different space, you come from a different culture, but it's nice being surrounded by people who have felt like that their entire lives, and being able to connect with them on that level, and it just gives another sense of community, because we all have felt different in our lives in any space, but being with people who have felt like that and that look like me, it feels like we have a place to be, we have a space. I can be here, I see other people that are like me and share my similar passions in this orchestra, and I can do this. I can go into music, and it gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah, as Alex and Zach shared yesterday in the alumni panel, we're artists in an art form that is very unique in that it prioritizes the old a lot of the time. It's very much about preserving the old. And I think because of that reason and a bunch of other factors, change doesn't come on its own. Things will stay the same in classical music if there's no outside force acting upon it. And so that's why the work of Equity Arc is just so important in all these organizations, because equity and accessibility this feeling that we all have of feeling like we belong, it won't come about on its own. It really needs outside funding, outside support. It needs organizations like Equity Arc and all these people to be working actively against that. I think that's why it's so important that we're all here this weekend today. And Guy, going to you, I just wanted to ask you about what you are most excited for in your future as a classical musician, and if there's anything you're worried about as well.
Yeah, so in the past, my favorite part of being a musician is being able to collaborate with other people, be that through like chamber music or orchestra, and that's something that I definitely want to continue as I go into college. But at the same time, that's also a worry of mine because all these like wonderful support systems that we have, like Project STEP, which Caleb and I are in, like these disappear after our senior year, and then also if you're not like going into college to become a professional musician, like to a conservatory or a music school, these opportunities become much more limited. And so being able to find these like chances, like these opportunities like this won't be able to happen in college if I'm not like part of the conservatory. So that's, and I'm not personally planning on becoming a professional musician, but I still want to have access to these orchestras, to these chamber music camps, and all of that. So that's definitely a worry of mine.
Yeah, if I could just really quickly add on to, as you were saying about what happens next for us, a lot of us are seniors. It really warmed my heart to see that Equity Arc this year had alumni come. And specifically, my friend Alex, who was on the panel yesterday, last year he was a senior, I was a junior, and this festival we were causing a lot of trouble every day, making Miggy go crazy. But it's just very nice to see that all these alumni are being welcomed back. It's wonderful that this is a community that people are going to be coming back to, and it's just such a welcoming space. And so I think it's important to keep these bonds as we all go off. And I'm sure I'll be seeing you all a lot repeatedly, but yeah, it's very touching to see that at this year's conference.
I wanted to add about like something about college. Like, I feel like even though we won't have Pathways programs while we're in college, being in a Pathways program and, you know, even being at Equity Arc before going to college is gonna like set you up for success. And it's gonna be really hard if you think about money. But I feel like being at Pathways and Equity Arc like has already set me up for success because it looked really awesome, you know, like when professors were like, oh, you went into a National Pathways Orchestra, like that's really nice. And they see that on the paper, and they see you in that audition, and they're gonna give you all they can. They're gonna fight for you. And that's what I saw in a lot of professors when I did my college auditions. So I definitely have to thank Pathways programs and Equity Arc for helping me get to like the top. And like, I feel like it's only gonna get better from there. So thanks.
Yeah, I love that you talk about that because yes, the monetary aspect of Pathways programs is incredibly helpful and incredibly important, but also with that comes the experience, and honestly, I wouldn't trade the experience for anything. And I've done so much just because of this program and these festivals. It really puts you ahead, and yes, it is scary, like he was saying, to go off into college and not have that support system anymore. But I think these programs do so much with your experience that you can feel okay to leave it behind.
Get really cool bragging rights too.
Okay, moving forward, Trin, if you could just continue telling us about what you think the future of classical music looks like, and in what ways is the industry changing and expanding?
Okay, so personally, don't get mad at me, but I am like kind of like a contemporary musician pretty recently. I've never really stepped into the classical world really hard and like really disciplined and all that. I feel like one thing about me, I really want to get more into classical music, but also I see classical music like expanding in so many ways. Like I'll be playing a video game and I'll hear classical music in the background. And like that just like, it's like fulfilling to know that classical music is everywhere. And so like in the future, I hope that continues. Like I hope that classical music is like in different types of art forms and different types of music, like whether it's, classic jazz and all that. Even if it's like rap, like if you're gonna sample classical music, that would be awesome. And like, there's just so many things you can do with classical music. I feel like classical music, I say, would like never die because of how much people will just keep like transforming it.
I feel like the classical style of music will always still stay around, but I feel like over time, eventually, like orchestras and groups and performers are gonna start leaning more towards contemporary composers or like living composers, minority composers, people like that. Because I think for the past however long I've been alive, everyone's played Beethoven and Bach and whatever other old composers that are long gone. And I feel like now, always contemporary composers haven't been as let into light or appreciated. And I've started to see more, especially in groups I played in Region Orchestra, and we played a piece by a living composer, and it was really, really weird, but it was by a contemporary composer. And I think overall, contemporary composers and living composers are starting to get a lot more appreciation. So I hope and I expect to see that continues to go.
To add on to that, I think we might start seeing new cultural instruments make it into the classical field. Specific example I have, I know I'm biased because I'm a percussionist, but the tabla being used in a classical piece, kind of making it, it's happening now, and it's very cool to see how my culture can be used in classical music that's, as we said, it's very old and it's been played for so long. So I think we're going to start seeing new instruments being utilized for classical music too.
Yeah, in my chamber music, I just wanted to add on to that. In my chamber music group, me and my duet partner were struggling to get some rhythmic concept down. And so my teacher, our instructor, she pulled out YouTube and she was like, all right, there's a tabla drums. This is what you want to do. And it was no joke, the coolest thing I've seen. It was awesome. And so it just spoke to me.
And I hope also for just the aspects of kind of the bounds of classical music, I feel are sort of expanding now. And with all these new ideas and with the new generation coming up, I think that, because we were saying, how Pathways programs kind of fizzle out as you get older, but now it's sort of up to us. And whatever ideas we have and whatever new things that we want to bring to this whole industry, I feel the classical music world is kind of becoming more open, or at least should be becoming more open to new ideas and just incorporating new instruments, new cultures, new sounds and new faces and everything like that. And so I feel that not only is the actual industry changing and is going to continue to change, that the people doing it and us and our generation is really the forefront of that and making sure that that continues. So.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to say really quick, kids like us, we're definitely going to be the ones keeping classical music alive. I feel definitely it changes so many lives, and it's only going to get older, and the way it's going to be saved is by us pushing it and really getting it out there for years and years and years to come. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that you're talking about that. I also love how we're talking about changes in instrumentation, changes in composers, but I think it's also important to talk about the continuity. Today in rehearsal, my sugar was talking about Shostakovich's his inspiration for writing the symphonies, and it was an act of protest, and there was a lot of that, those acts of protest in music, in the pieces that we play, and I think that's really important, and we see that in contemporary pieces now. Adolphus Hailstork, who is the composer of one of the pieces we're playing in here, he's an African-American composer, and often he incorporates culture and his own ideas and thoughts into his music, and that's his way of sharing his ideas and what he thinks is important to the world. And I think that's so important, and it's so beautiful, because it's not something that's happened so many years ago. It's something that's happening now. It's something that we're living in. It's something that we can relate to on a much more personal aspect than things that happened when Shostakovich was alive.
I'll say too, a lot of the things that you guys were saying just kept building in my mind. So I'll say something Trinity was saying is obviously there's going to be generations that keep building and growing and teaching the younger generations about classical music. It happens like every so often. Because I remember when I was younger, I only knew Beethoven. And that's how a lot of people are when they first start off listening to classical music. And then when I first started playing my instrument, I got introduced to all these amazing composers like Shostakovich, Stravinsky, you know, just Tchaikovsky. And, you know, it opens up a whole new world and it gives you like a ginormous perspective of like what can come out of this. And to what Arushi was saying, Shostakovich's Fifth Symphony was a form of protest, and that reminds me a lot of the Stravinsky's Firebird Suite and The Rite of Spring, which were both ballets that were first written in the early 19th century, or 20th century, I guess, and 1900s. But when you first listen to it, you just like, you think about, what is this? Because it sounds like the orchestras are playing whatever they want. And like, you listen to it and you feel like you're going crazy. And then, but the moment you look at the ballet, you're like, oh, this makes so much more sense. And coming out of the romantic period of classical music, it was just such a big reform and enlightenment of like, how can we build on this and make this grow and evolve? And especially with, same thing with Florence Price, and Silvestre Revueltas, which are both minority composers, who obviously in the 20th century, which seems like a long time ago, but I mean early 19th centuries, not 1960s, guys, I'm sorry. But you know, it feels so recent compared to like Beethoven and Mozart, but you see they're making a huge appearance, especially now, because, you know, like we said, the classical world is making a big, like, comforting space for all of us. And they're just including so many minority composers and stuff that was overlooked to, you know, like the classics.
As we talk, I'm reminded of a performance I went to pretty recently of Mahler's First Symphony. And I remember reading in the program notes, this was hated at the premiere. Like people were throwing tomatoes, people were throwing everything they had. It was, Mahler's First Symphony was like a complete failure at its premiere. And it's interesting to think that because today it's literally one of the safest things that a music director can program. Literally like the most like surefire, like crowd pleasing. And so it's important to continue innovating. It's important to continue showing these new instrumentation, new composers, everything we were talking about. And to finish today, Arushi, if you could share anything with the classical music industry, what would it be?
Yeah. I think just don't be afraid of change. We're talking about so much about change and how classical music can evolve in the best ways. I don't remember who said it. I think it might have been you. I don't know. But you said that music was the universal language, and Rashad. But I think that is so beautiful because it's a language that is so interesting because it's not like you play a certain phrase and there's an interpretation. It's you play something and everyone takes a different interpretation out of it. So the possibilities of what music can bring are endless, and I think just people in this field just need to be accepting of that, you know? Caleb, you mentioned how classical music caters to the old, and everyone tries to strive to protect our history, which obviously is very important, but that should never take away from the progress that we can bring. Through this festival, we're bringing progress. We're showing that, you know, there can be diversity in the classical music world, and it's important to have diversity because you're getting a slew of more and more people and more talented people to do what we love. So yeah, just be open to change because it can be beautiful.
If anybody else has any closing thoughts before we open for questions for a few minutes.
I think that all of you that are like directors and programs should push the tuba.
It's been saying that for like the past 30 minutes.
Thank you for changing my life.
Yeah, I'll say something I thought about like halfway through this conversation was. Okay, sorry. So something I thought about was when I first started playing my instrument, my mom would show me like these videos of the Simón Bolívar Youth Symphony from Venezuela, which is where my family is from. And I would watch these videos and it would just like inspire me and give me like this big idea of what I wanted to do in my life. And I always thought that I wanted to be a part of that. And now with these programs, I can gladly say that I'm finally there.
Jade, I'm sorry, did you say we do have time for Q&A or we don't? Okay, we don't. All right. Well, in that case, thank you so much for having us, and we're excited for the end of this festival.